Welcome to DeFiChain Demystified, where we dive deeper in special topics around our project. The goal is to bring answers to some tricky questions and maybe bust some myths. We are
Kügi,
and Lord Mark, and today's topic is...
what the heck is arbitrage?
Hey Kugi, welcome back to the show. How are you today?
I'm perfectly fine. Great topic today. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. Hey, I'm really happy to have you. I think this topic is a really awesome one, especially one that we never touched in any of the other formats so far. So a lot of new stuff to learn and a lot of things to dive into. Hey, I would say we jump right in. You prepared a little presentation today, and then we're gonna take it from there.
Yes. Our classic, the history of arbitrage is the history full of misunderstandings.
Absolutely.
I think the thing is, and I think that's why it's rarely covered, because arbitrage is a topic where people who can do it don't like to talk about it, because it's a very competitive area. So as soon as you are able to do it, and as soon as you do it, you try to keep all the profits for yourself, because I think Julian said that once in a talk, that if someone tells you that they are arbitraging and they make a lot of profit with arbitrage, and you just need to give them $1,000 and they make 50% on it, that's nearly 100% of the time a scam, because arbitrageurs have problems getting in the volume. So it's a really competitive stuff. So not a lot of people talk about it. I do that, but on the other hand, I'm just kind of a disclaimer. I'm not a big arbitrageur. I don't do the big arbitrage. I don't have the funds to do it, honestly, and the time. But I understand how it works. I know how I do a bit of arbitrage, so I can tell you how it works. And so I'm kind of the guy in the middle between the don't take my profits to I know what it does. So let's go a bit into that.
And I think the beauty of the topic today is also that we kind of can bust a myth here at the very end as well, because a lot of people say, oh, the bad arbitrageurs out there, they take our money or they take somebody's profits or whatever. But you're going to explain that in very, very detail during your presentation.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not at the end. We busted at the beginning.
Okay, we busted right at the beginning.
Bust the big things at the beginning. No saving for the end.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, let's jump right in. What the heck is arbitrage? So the definition of arbitrage in the textbooks basically is arbitrage is risk-free profit. If you are able to profit from something without taking any risks, this is called arbitrage. On the other hand, usually when you talk about financial markets, when you talk about trading, when you talk about investing, you often hear people say there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. It's a bit of a weird sentence, but never mind. Which basically means there is no risk-free profit. It usually people, when you tell someone, I have a great opportunity to get a lot of profit, and people are always like, there is no free lunch. It's always risky. It's always a stuff. And the answer to that is, well, actually, the thing is, this whole saying of there ain't no free lunch, or there is no free lunch, is based on the assumption that if there would be free lunch, someone would take it. And that's where arbitrage comes in. So actually, the thing is, without arbitrageurs, there would be a free lunch, and therefore arbitrageurs would exist again. So arbitrage is what makes markets efficient. Because of the arbitrage, the markets are efficient, and we have efficient pricing. We have fair pricing because of arbitrage. Because otherwise, it would be, or it could be, that markets diverge a lot or something, and suddenly you have weird behavior on the market. So yes, there is no free lunch because if there would be free lunch, people would take it, and that's what people do. That's what arbitrageurs do. So on the other hand, it's also, yes, arbitrageurs make risk-free profit sometimes, but on the other hand, you have to look at it like that if there is a free lunch, if there is arbitrage, you need to invest a lot of time and a lot of effort and sometimes funds and energy into finding the arbitrage and into using the arbitrage. Because, as I said, it's competitive. As soon as you are able to do it, other people are able to do it too. And the question is who is there first? So you have the risk of not being there first. And spending all that effort, spending all that energy and research and all that stuff is something you do. So it's not that you just sit there and you get money out of nowhere, but basically it's a full-time job, spend a lot of time, spend a lot of research. You need to really do your research and know your stuff to do that. So a lot of people could do it if they would spend time and put the effort in. So it's not like just risk-free profit, money out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. It's just the end result of a long chain of doing something and research and put effort into it. So that out of the way and have a meme in there. Let's go a bit into the types of arbitrage, because just also maybe a bit of another disclaimer. The goal today for me is not to go too deep into the actual how to do it in detail and all the detail stuff. It's a bit more on, okay, what is arbitrage, how to do it, if for people who have no idea about arbitrage, mm-hmm. no idea what it is, and just heard risk-free profits, to get an understanding what's possible there and what people do. So if you already do arbitrage, this video is not for you. Say it this way.
But also in a second step, what you said before, to show what possibilities exist on DeFiChain in special, right?
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. We will go a bit into the general arbitrage and also a bit on DeFiChain, what we have in the from the system, from the logic, from the mechanics in there, to understand that, because that's also what we talk about a lot in the spaces when we say, okay, let's do that, because then arbitrageurs could make the market efficient.
Yep.
And that's a bit, so we also have a bit of that stuff in there.
Cool.
Okay. So types of arbitrage. Basically, I mean, it's not comprehensive, but the overall types of arbitrage, we have this cross-exchange arbitrage, where we say we have multiple exchanges and arbitrage across those changes. Then we have basically the arbitrage within an exchange. Then we have arbitrage, which is similar to within an exchange, but more within a system. That's like on DeFiChain, where we say, okay, we have some internal logic that allows arbitrage within the system to make the system efficient. And then we have the information arbitrage, which is also talked about a lot, which is kind of different than the others, but also arbitrage in a way. It's always, arbitrage is a bit of a fluent concept in a lot of people. And that's also the last point, which is, whatever people call arbitrage, but it's actually just a low risk trade. And that happens a lot because people are like, this is arbitrage. And I do that too. And I say, okay, it's actually that's arbitrage, but in reality, it's not 100% risk-free. It's just you have a really low risk trade. There's really low risk of doing the trade. There's a super high probability that it goes well, and a really low probability that you have a problem. Then you like to call it arbitrage, but actually arbitrage is just really the 100% risk-free stuff. But yeah, it's, as I said, fluent. So let's go right in cross-exchange arbitrage. So consider the case where you have one asset pair, and because we like DFI, we take DFI as an example, where you say, okay, DFI versus USDT, and it's traded on two exchanges, for example, on two central exchanges, KuCoin and Bitrex, or on the DEX and KuCoin, whatever you want, different exchanges who trade exactly the same asset pair. And that's important. It must be exactly the same asset pair. And it must be that you can transfer the assets from one exchange to the other. So there is no, you have to keep it in one exchange, but you can transfer the assets across the exchanges. And as soon as you have that and the price difference of the two exchanges is higher than the fees that you would pay for trading and transferring, then you have arbitrage. And it will basically look like that, where you say, we have this closed loop. So let's assume we have a central exchange where DeFi trades for 1 USDD per DeFi, and we have the DEX where we trade 2 USDD per DeFi. Super high difference, but for easier with the numbers. And then you can do that you say, I take 1 DFI on the DEX. I swap this 1 DFI to 2 USDD because that's my price here. I transfer those 2 USDD to the central exchange. Now I have 2 USDD here. Here I have a price of 1. So for this 2 USDD, I get 2 DFI. Now I have 2 DFI. If I transfer them back to the DEX, I started with 1 DFI on the DEX. Now I have 2 DFI on the DEX, so I have 100% profit. Mm-hmm. In theory, risk-free. The thing is, on the one hand, what I said, you need to transfer the assets, so you need to be able to transfer them. That's why we have, for example, a no perfect arbitrage on the DUSD, because you can't transfer DUSD somewhere else and trade it there. Has maintenance on a node. Then we also have this topic that KuCoin is not arbitrage perfectly in that time because you can't transfer the funds. So if you have a large spread during the maintenance, it's because you can't arbitrage it. And that's what I mean. Then the market stops being efficient because the arbitrageurs can't do their work. So people are like, why do I pay more on KuCoin than on the DEX than on Bitrex? That's why arbitrageurs are not bad. We like them.
Okay, so that's actually good that you mentioned it, because sometimes people really wonder why the prices on Bitrex or KuCoin, especially when we do network upgrades, get so much out of control. This is because the arbitrage stops, because the transferring in and out of funds is not possible at that time because they hold the wallets, correct?
Exactly, because if you can transfer funds, if you have this loop, you can start wherever you want. Depends on, you can do the loop in the other direction if the prices are different. So you start where you want, and if you say, I have now USDD on the central exchange and I do the loop, perfect. But as soon as you can't transfer the DFI because of network maintenance, you might be able to buy that, but now you're stuck here and have to wait till it's open again to do the full loop. So you can only move the market in a certain percentage or in a certain amount, and not
Beside that, you would have a lot of funds on both sides sitting and waiting. Then you could actually play this arbitrage game as long as you have sufficient funds, but then sooner or later it stops, right?
Exactly. That's the second part.
Okay, sorry.
Where you say that's the second way when you say we don't have the full loop.
Okay. Get it.
But, okay, step by step, because another topic. I'm really laggy, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Are you on the wrong internet?
No, yeah, I'm on a cable.
Okay, now you're back. Okay.
I'm fine. Never mind. The thing is here that we transfer, and this transfer might take time. Mm-hmm. So the risk-free trade is assuming that all goes instantly or nearly instantly. And if I now, for example, say I do this trade and I need to move the USDD via cake to the central exchange, it might take some time until they do the unwrap. And if I now start with the DFI here, I sell it for 2. Okay, I have 2 USDD. While my 2 USDD move to the central exchange, they increase to 2 USDD themselves, and there is no arbitrage anymore. So that's my risk for the arbitrage, because I need the time to transfer it. It could even be that I sell 1 DFI here, and while I wait, it all moves to 3 USDD, and I suddenly have a loss because I sold 2 DFI for 2, and now I have to buy it back for 3. So that's the risk of the risk-free trade because of the system, because of the process. And you can remove that risk when you say you have funds on both sides, enough funds on both sides that I don't swap every time. I don't transfer it all the time. I only swap back and forth. So I go this direction or back, because I assume that they are leveling out over time. If the one is higher, I go this way. If the other is higher, I go the other way. And only if over time there is a strong imbalance and I see, now I have double the amount of DFI on the central exchange than I have on the DEX, I need to rebalance the funds and move some funds over. So I have once this transfer, but that doesn't, that's not time sensitive because I just need to rebalance it, but it doesn't change anything in my process. But there again, you have the thing that you need a lot of funds there. Because if I do the full loop, I need one DFI or one USDD here. I could do that with saying I have no exposure in DFI whatsoever. I just have USDD on the central exchange. And when the loop is there, I do the loop. I am back to USDD. Everything is fine. No exposure everywhere, or only exposure in one of them. Here, I will need exposure on both exchanges. So a lot of funds that are locked, waiting for arbitrage to open. And if they don't open, I have a lot of funds sitting on the exchange and not giving me anything, any profits. And I might have better opportunities to make profits with those funds, put it in staking or whatever. So I have this risk of, do I find arbitrage that's more than the staking rewards and stuff like that. So you again actually have some risks around the whole topic, but not for the trade itself. So the trade itself is risk-free, but it involves risks around that stuff. So that's the cross-exchange arbitrage.
Okay.
Did I lag too much?
No, it's perfect. Connection is better.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Then the other one, because now with cross-exchange, that's the case that you have a lot. You have that with all the exchanges with Bitcoin and everything, with all the big assets, because they are traded on a lot of exchanges. So you have that everywhere, and that's what a lot of people do and are talking about, and there's a lot of volume in there. And then you have this thing where you go within an exchange. That's basically you have asset pair loops, which is a full arbitrage. And since it's within an exchange, you don't have a lot of risk regarding timing. So there is no transfer from one exchange to the other, but just within one exchange. No transfer risks. And depending on the exchange, it could be done instantly. On a classic exchange, on a central exchange, you need to do the trade on the one exchange, on the one pair, then the other pair on the next pair. On the DEX, for example, with DeFiChain, where you could do a composite swap within one block, where say you go the full round, you have it basically instantly that you do that. And how does it work? You basically just need this full loop, where say within the same exchange you can trade from, for example, DFI to USDC, from USDC to DUSD, and then from DUSD to DFI. With the new pools, as soon as they get live, I hope we have the liquidity once this video is going live. When you have this full loop, when you have all of them, we have that. Previously on DeFiChain we didn't have it. That's why we had no in-exchange arbitrage. But on other exchanges, on the classic Bitcoin exchanges, for example, or crypto exchanges, you usually had that because you had the trading from, for example, USD to Bitcoin, Bitcoin to Ethereum, and Ethereum to USD or USDT. And because you had the pair with Bitcoin all the time, you had the full loop within the stuff. Back in the days, 2017, that was possible to do for normal people like me on big exchanges, like Bitstamp and stuff. So back then, you sometimes had loops like that going into the percent, so 1%, 2% profit doing that loop with, for example, USD to Bitcoin, Bitcoin to Ethereum, Ethereum to USD. And then the big guys came in and decided that little guys like me don't get profits this way. But that's what you do there. And okay, maybe the loop is already pretty clear, but theoretically, again, you have this one DFI on the one side, you sell it for 2 USDD because that's the price. You have 2 USDC, you instantly sell this 2 USDC 1-to-1 for DUSD because that's the current price. You have 2 DUSD, and then you buy back the DFI with a price of 1 because that's your base actual arbitrage like we had it before, 2 versus 1, and you get 2 DFI at the end to the loop, and you can do the loop instantly again. No transfer of funds, anything. that's what's also a bit coming up on DeFiChain as soon as we have that, and as soon as we don't have the fees, the big DEX fee, because here the only thing that you have at risk is basically that you get the execution, that you get that, and no one is front running you, so you need to be fast, and the loop must be bigger than the fees. So commission or any fees that you have up there on there, reduces your reward. But as soon as you have that, you stabilize the system in a way.
I think that makes arbitrage in some way for the average Joe a little bit tricky, because I think it's very easy to compare prices, but then they forget to calculate the fees as well, right? And then you maybe end up paying more than expected, because that can be tricky, right?
Fees and slippage. The problem is you have calculable risks, or costs like fees, where you know what you will pay, and then you have the slippage, and that's also on the cross exchange stuff. When you have an order book, and you're like, okay, that's my current price, and I have those limit orders in there, and I see them, I could take that. But as soon as you are executed there, you need to hope or know or have some kind of experience what's your execution price on the other exchange, because it's sometimes hard. If you do the loop, you need to know when you are executed. If you do the instant execution, you need to instantly execute that you get the price. If you move the market too much, or someone else moves it before you, that's again this competitive stuff. If someone else moves the market before you get in, the arbitrage is lost, and you need to get out of the position. So that's where all the actual risks come in from a risk-free trade. Exactly.
Risky business. Okay.
Risky, risk-free business. Exactly.
Risky business. Yeah. Contradiction in terms in some way. Okay.
And so that's basically the general arbitrage that we have on every exchange, as soon as you have this cross-exchange stuff, or a asset loop within an exchange. And then we come to the part that's really specific on DeFiChain, which shows a bit this how internal logics, how mechanics of a system could be used for arbitrage or provide arbitrage. And the first thing that we had back then, the thing is, this is still there, but this kind of shows how arbitrage makes the system efficient too, was this 50% D-token premium via the 150% votes. Because in the beginning, people remember we had huge premiums on the D-token pairs. And the thing is, it was sometimes like, it's 30% there and 30% there. But the important stuff was we had the loan, the votes, only DFI was collateral. I say this way, DLSD wasn't the collateral yet. So you had to put in DFI. And you could trade from the D token to DFI over the USD. And the overall arbitrage, the overall premium going from the D token to DFI in comparison to the oracles was never going above 50% because of the 150% votes. And that was because of this nice loop, which is the arbitrage that we had back then in there. So we have our actor, arbitrageur. We have a vault with 150% loan scheme. I put in $150 worth, or DFI worth of $150 this way. So I have this $150 in collateral value. I take out a D token loan worth of $100, put that on the DEX, swap it on the DEX for DFI with a more than 50% premium. So now I get more than $150 worth of DFI because of this premium, and I have my DFI worth more than $150 back, and I put in $150 in DFI into the vault. So I have more DFI back. I can do that again, put again 150 in, take the loan, swap it, and have it back, as long as I have more than 50% premium from D token to DFI on the DEX. And therefore, since I can do that in a loop, do that all the time, the D token is, as soon as it goes above a 50% premium, it's sold on the DEX, and it's the premium is reduced. also led a bit to this topic that because this vault is like, what happens to the vault? It's on a 150% loan scheme or 150% ratio, it will get liquidated. And the sad answer is, so what? Because this, you put in $150 in DFI, you get out more than 150 DFI. Yes, you have the loan, the vault. If DFI increases, fine. But if this vault gets liquidated, you don't care. If people overpay your vault, you even get more profit from it. But you got out more DFI than you put in, so you don't care what this vault is doing. And that was the basic idea, or the idea of the concept of this arbitrage back then. And the thing is, because people understood that, as soon as people understood that, found that, and started doing that, we had the hard cap at the 50%. And then people started to anticipate that the 50% is a hard cap. So they started to sell the premium at 49%. Because they knew at 50, it won't go above 50%. So whatever happens, it's likely if I have a spike up to 49 to 50%, and I sell that, I take a short position on the D token against DFI. I mean, back then DFI was also bumping, so also a good idea to short the token and long DFI. But it was like, I can be pretty sure that if I have a spike because of increased demand, up to the 50%, and I short the D token at that premium, it's highly likely that that premium will go down back to 45% because it's always fluctuating. And as soon as I go up, I sell it. So because of the hard cap, people sold it, people anticipated it. The market got more efficient because people knew the arbitrageurs would step in as soon as you have the hard cap. They stepped in before. Arbitrageurs didn't make any money with it anymore. But the market got efficient and the premium went down because people anticipated it more. So people said, I sell the D token at the 49% premium and I take the trade. Suddenly people say like, oh, everyone is selling at 49, I sell at 48. And it got down. I mean, it got slowly down, but over time. And that's how markets get efficient. And that's what I then call, I mean, I started with this, I did this. So that's why I know how it went down, because I watched it every day, because I saw how the profits were gone. But then people started to change that, and me too. I started to change that to say, okay, let's not sell it at 50%. Let's do the thing with the vault, have a bit more buffer in the vault, sell it as soon as you have a spike from the average premium. As soon as you have a spike up because of the high demand, you sell it because everyone is anticipating that the spike is going down. You sell the premium. As soon as the premium goes down, you do that thing in the other direction. You revert the loop and you close the position. And suddenly, I still call it the D token arbitrage, but it's not actually no longer an arbitrage, but a low risk trade, because you can expect the premium to go down. And that's what I say. People still call that arbitrage sometimes, because like high premium, you can do arbitrage there. It's actually a low risk trade, but not an arbitrage.
I heard the word, people call it like arbitrage or time arbitrage or something like this. But this word doesn't really exist, right? This kind of, somebody made that up.
No. That's also a thing.
Okay.
But that's the thing when we say we know that it will change. For example, when we had that, maybe hold that thought.
Okay, I hold the question.
We do that on the next thing, because it's a thing. It's not something made that up. I think maybe I said that, but maybe I made it up. Anyway, let's go to the next one. So that's basically one of the first things that we have with the vaults that were really arbitrage within the system. So logic arbitrage.
Okay.
Then we had the next thing, and that's this thing where we said, okay, that the DUSD premium is too high. And we introduced this DFI payback, where I say you can take DFI and pay back a DUSD loan with a 1% premium. Then we had the full loop again. And the thing is, this was multiple times in one block. It could be done really a lot. How this works, what basically you have a vault, no matter what collateral is in there, you take a loan in DUSD, for example, $100 DUSD loan. You swap that, so you buy DFI on the DEX because the USD is on a 1% premium, so you get more DFI than you should, or more than 1% premium on the DFI. You take the DFI and pay back the loan. So you pay it back with 1% premium, so the difference between those is your arbitrage win. And you could, because you paid it back, you can take the loan again, swap it, pay it back, take the loan again. That's how algorithmic DUSD were created. That's the case because you take DUSD, a loan or existing DUSD, swap it and pay it back with DFI, the DUSD stay in the system. And here we have this time arbitrage. This is not the time arbitrage, but this thing produced this time arbitrage because there was the case that we said, okay, we have the DFIP where we decide we want to do that. So you know that within, I don't know, it was like, okay, this will be implemented until, I think it was February. We decided it in January, mid of January, or in December. Oh, my memory is bad. But we decided it back then. We knew it will be implemented in 4 or 5 weeks. So you knew that in 4 weeks, for example, the DUSD premium will be down to 1%. It's not right yet. There is no arbitrage yet. But back then, it's still at it was still a 10% premium, and you knew it will be down to 1%. So it is arbitrage because I can now say back then I take my USDD, swap it to 10% more DUSD, and then I know in 4 weeks I can swap it back with only 1% and make the 9% profit. So this was like time arbitrage, where it's not an instant loop. I have to stay in that, but I know that over time it will, go out. Basically, another thing time arbitrage, maybe it's a made-up word, but the contango trades from futures, where you say you sell the future at a premium, you buy the spot at the actual price, and then you know at the time, at the delivery date of the future, the premium will go down to 0. It's also kind of a time arbitrage where I say I open the trade now, I know for a fact that it will be there in some time at this time. So I know that it will go down and I know that it will have a premium then. And there, the only thing that you need to consider is what could I do with those funds that are locked in this trade over the time, in the time. If I can do something more profitable, then it would be better to do the other thing. But if that's the best thing that I can do, it's risk-free profit because I know it will be there over time. So it's again, and that's what I think that's what most of the people call time arbitrage, but not instantly, but
you had to wait a little bit for the event to happen,
exactly.
And then you could kind of cash in. Okay.
But it's important that you know that this will happen. It's not like time arbitrage is not, we will be at 100K end of year. That's not time arbitrage. That's a bet. just to be
and that's
clear,
not
it's
risk
not like
free, so it doesn't.
You need to be 100% certain that this will come. Then it's kind of arbitrage. Exactly, and that's the other thing that we had with this payback. And we already talked about the problems of that because you can do it in a loop, you can do it instantly. That was good for arbitrageurs. And in hindsight, not the best long-term solution. That's why it's stopped now. But that was one of those logic arbitrage stuff. And then we have another thing where we also, again, with the premium, which is our future swap. And we cover a lot of topics in this stuff, a lot of myths that have nothing to do with arbitrage. Maybe we will rename the video. So this future swap, where we say, okay, you can swap DUSD versus a D token at a plus minus 5% of the Oracle price to keep that in this range. Again, to make a hard cap, or it's not a hard cap, it's a soft cap because it's once a week. So again, it's a bit of a time arbitrage because you can't do it instantly. But let's go into what the loop is. So there are two different cases for the premium case and for the discount case. And for the premium case, we have this, okay, the D token. So for example, the Tesla is now at a 5% premium against the Oracle on the DEX. So on the DEX, I get more than 5%. So let's say 10%. on the Oracle, Tesla trades at $1,000, and on the DEX it trades at 1,100. Then I can do this loop. I have a vault, whatever collateral. I take a D token loan, whatever amount basically. I sell this D token for more than 5%. So if I get in 1,000, I take D Tesla, or one D Tesla. I sell it for 1,100 DUSD on the DEX. I have 1,100 DUSD. The Oracle says it's a 1,000. I put in 1,050 DUSD into the future swap because I know I can buy, well, the swap will swap it at 5% above the Oracle. So for 1,050, I get this one Tesla out from the future swap and I can pay back my loan. And the difference here is my profit from the trade. And the thing is, this is only arbitrage exactly in the last hour before the future swap happens, because then I know exactly what this Oracle price will be. If I do that before that, I have the risk that the Oracle price will move and everything goes to shit. My trade is may be in a loss. But in this last hour, and there again, in this hour, I do it, I open the trade, and I know at the end of the future block, I will have the profit. It's not an instant loop. I can't do it instantly. It's not just like waiting for the transfer to happen or anything. You really have to wait for the date. So it's again a bit of a time arbitrage in that last hour.
Kügi, question.
And
do most people do this manually, or because I'm not doing this kind of, I'm not using the future swap personally. Do people do this manually, or is this all what people do with bots normally?
Usually arbitrage.
Insight? Yeah.
So the full arbitrage stuff is usually done with bots because, as I said, speed is important.
Yeah.
So as soon as you see it, you need to act instantly.
But for the future swap,
24/7. For the future swap, there we have this. You can do that with bots, and people do that with bots because in the last hour, when you know the Oracle price, you're risk-free. But let's do the discount case, and then I answer that question in full. You always ask.
I'm always one too early. Sorry for that.
If we now go to the just quick, the discount case is basically the same idea, just the other direction. When the token is in the discount, so Tesla at 1,000 on the Oracle, and it trades at 900 on the DEX. I take a loan in DUSD. I buy the D token, the Tesla, pretty cheap on the DEX. I put it in the future swap. I get it at a 5% discount back for DUSD, and I can pay back my loan. Only works if I have more than 5% discount, but basically the same idea as with the D token, just in another way. Therefore, we have it symmetrically in both ways, the cap. And the thing is now, in the beginning, when we introduced the future swaps, I did that manually because I was out on vacation and I didn't have time to code a bot. So there you could profit from it manually because not a lot of people did it. Not a lot of people understood it. Although we made videos and stuff about it, but not many people knew about it or do it. So you could do it manually. There was, 6-7% premium. You take 1 or 2% on the trade, and that's done. Then every week with the future swap, it was less profit that was still there. You can do a bot that does that in the last hour. But the thing here is that it's a perfect example on how the markets get more efficient. Because people know that there are people with bots that do that automatically. So they know that the future the D token will go down to 5% premium or 5% discount on the future block or within the last hour before the future block. On the other hand, you also know or could anticipate that the Oracle might not change in the last hours because the markets are closed. So you know already, or not much. So for example, if we have a pump in MicroStrategy, and the oracles are now closed, or the pump is over, we expect it to not go any further, but there was a lot of demand on the DEX, so we are still in a premium of 8% on the DEX. but the future swap will be in 5 hours. If you do that now, it's not arbitrage. It's a low risk trade. But people already anticipate that the future swap will happen. They manually know the Oracle price probably won't change that much. I risk that now. I risk that the Oracle price might change in the next 4 hours, but it's unlikely to happen. And I have 8% premium, so I get 3% low risk profit. So they trade it manually before the future swap. They do that thing before the actual arbitrage opens. Therefore, they put it down, put the premium down, and the bots that are waiting for the premium to be there are basically not working anymore because they force the market to be efficient. I mean,
But it's good,
you
right?
could make
At the end of the day,
exactly
it
that's
like I said,
perfect. I mean,
it
not for the
makes
arbitrageurs.
yeah, but for the market, it's perfect, right? So the game gets earlier and earlier and earlier, and the arbitrage smaller and smaller and smaller, and the market more efficient over time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to the bot question, you could do that with a bot that you say, okay, you make a really high sophisticated bot where you say the bot also knows if the oracles stay flat now, if the markets are closed, and takes the market data itself, not just the oracle data, but the market data, and anticipates if the market will move until then, and therefore already predicts the stuff. And there we have the part where it gets really complicated to do it, and you need a lot of knowledge and a lot of stuff that you do and that you take care of to do that kind of trade. And that's the reason why not a lot of people can do it or will do it. But you could do that with bots. Maybe there are bots that do that, but also manual people just trade that because they say, okay, I see there's an 8% premium. Oracles are basically flat now. In 5 hours, I take this risk of 3% profit, a bit of a risk that it won't work, and I'm done.
Okay, understand.
Exactly. So that's this future swap arbitrage basically, which made our DEX or the D-token system efficient. Also nice thing. And that's basically everything regarding the logic. Last slide. The topic information arbitrage. Basically, when people talk about information arbitrage, it's about if you know more than others, you can take advantage of that. So because for you, since you understand what it is, it's a no risk or low risk trade. It's not 100% arbitrage in the sense, but like we have it on DeFiChain, we say, okay, the profits with staking and everything, if you understand how the whole thing works, if you understand the risks better than others, you can take advantage of that and be early adopter. The classic stuff from why early adopters make profits, because they have a better understanding of the stuff. There are risks involved, so information arbitrage is not really 100% risk-free, or not always. Sometimes it's like information arbitrage is you know about the arbitrage before others do, like with the DeFiChain topics that we had. They say, if you know are part of the system, part of the community, know that the future swap will occur, that it will happen the first time on that day, that you prepare yourself to say, I know how to trade that, I know how to do that technically, then you have information arbitrage because you know more about than others, so you can take the arbitrage. So that's also a bit of where you can profit in a low risk way, or maybe even a no risk way, a risk-free way, when you understand and know stuff that others don't, so you can take advantage of them. And that's why I always say, educate yourself, because then you are able to make profits or not lose stuff. And the other way around. Information is always king, and key to
I think this is awesome that you mentioned that at the end, because especially on DeFiChain, we've seen this so many times, right? When staking started, when liquidity mining started, when new pools start, people always say, if I would have done this earlier, then I would have made more money. People are not doing it because they don't trust, or they don't know how it works, or they just too afraid that something can go wrong. So the people who are willing to take the risk and who are willing to educate, like I say, and put the time in, they reap the rewards, right? But yeah, there's no, you can't wait that everything is tested and well proven. Then normally the rewards most of the time are gone. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. Kügi, awesome. There was a lot of stuff in there. Wait, let me just jump back to the other view. There was so much more than arbitrage inside. I think it really covered. No, it was awesome. Thanks so much. I think it really covered the story of DeFiChain again. All these measures that also were implemented, right? And I think now people maybe understand also better why certain things happened. Over time, it was always to make the DEX and the prices more efficient, right? We didn't come up with these things like future swaps just because somebody was bored and wanted to put some obstacle out there. It was really something wanted to be achieved, right? Cool.
Yeah, it's basically the three things on DeFiChain are how we work on making the D token system efficient. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically the stuff there. Yeah.
And we might not even be there yet, right? Because we see with the DUSD and there's a constant change necessary to tweak and twist it to make it a better product.
Yeah, we're still working on that, and that's also the thing. It's an early project. The D token system is not that old, so there are things that need to be improved, and will be improved over time. And that's the idea of it. And that's again this early adopters. If you understand the stuff, if you take the time to understand it and learn how you can profit from it, you can profit from it. Otherwise, if you wait for it to be 100% risk-free, there will be less rewards. That's the nature of early adopting.
Exactly. Cool, Kügi. Thanks a lot. A lot of myths busted, a lot of stuff demystified.
Hopefully.
Thank you so much. And guys, thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. I think it was a great one. And leave us a comment. We are also not unhappy if you leave us a like. And like Kügi always says, if there are 500 likes, the next video is gonna be. But we're gonna do it anyway, most likely. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Kügi, thanks for the time. It was fantastic to have you. Have a nice evening and bye-bye.